All right, we have our panelists here already. We want them just to hear how they will weigh in on this particular development or developing story of Elachi and the MCAs in Nairobi. We have with us this morning Aaron Cheriot, who's a senator from Kericho. We do have with us as well Otena Molo, who's a member of parliament from Rarieda. Also, we have with us as well this morning, this is Dr. Abone Khalwale, who is the deputy chair of Ford Kenya. We do have with us as well Kimani Umatangi, who is a senator from Kiambu, and Jacob Midio, who is a former member of parliament from Gema. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Right, thank you. Let's just all begin with Aaron Cheriot. Of course, looking at the development of what is happening with this particular impeachment saga on Elachi and the MCAs. She's, of course, sought a stay order from the court, and she's back in office right now. But the frosty relations that has developed between the MCAs and her, do you think even if maybe she wins this particular case, that will be a good harmonious working relationship with the MCAs?
To be sincere, first of all, good morning to our viewers. But to be sincere, it will be extremely difficult and an uphill task for Speaker Beatrice Elachi to continue serving on as Speaker of Nairobi, even if she went ahead and won the case that she has filed in court. But I do not think that should be our main focus and attention this morning. What should be of concern to us is what are the issues that are bringing this debacle between her and I think all of the county assembly, because we saw the impeachment exercise. I think they voted super unanimously to eject her out of office. And what should be of concern to us is what is this that has acted the MCAs so badly about their speaker that they are willing to kick her out, and even when she goes ahead and obtains a court order, something which I expect Nairobi MCAs to have respect for, they still go ahead physically to try and eject her out of office, despite the fact that they know that is not the way to do things in a civilized manner. First of all, that was really unfortunate. It paints a very bad picture of those MCAs from Nairobi. And you know, it is increasingly becoming their second nature, that every time somebody says something, you know, you remember a few months down the line, we had the same issue where these guys showed up at an airport, an international airport like JKIA, and they are told you are late for a flight. Like any decent Kenyans, instead of waiting, those of their colleagues who had already boarded, they decided to hold the plane captive. And you remember NTV covered that story. And therefore, this increasing nature of operating with impunity by Nairobi County MCAs is something that you'll send warning bells, especially to the political parties that sponsor them, but more importantly, the people that voted them into office. It is absolutely wrong when leaders behave like street kids. It shouldn't be the case. However, coming back to the real issues that are being debated,
yes,
I listened to what Speaker Beatrice Elachi spoke about yesterday. It's unfortunate that the focus went majorly to the things that they are alleging about her, that she flew first class and those kind of issues. I'm not privy to any of the details, so I wouldn't know whether the first class was on cost of taxpayers' money, or it is an upgrade from business to first class, as she was explaining, that was footed out of her own pocket. But she alleges that the reason why she's running into all these headwinds is, one, because of there have been wars in the county assembly between her and former clerk, Mr. Ngwele, who, if you remember, was sent out of office by the County Public Service Board because of corruption allegations. And now this is, according to Beatrice Elachi, corruption fighting back. And also, when you were watching, interestingly, you had one of the MCAs saying that we must get her out of office. She denied us an opportunity to travel to the US. And that is really appalling and shameful. Those MCAs have lowered the standard of leadership when there are issues of that nature, especially at this point in time where we are only 8 months into office.
Right, thank you.
They should be resolved in a more amicable manner.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Otena Molo. Good morning.
Good morning, Debarl, and good morning, Kenya. Well, I think this matter of Speaker Elachi is an interesting one. For me, to raise just a few issues that are important. One, it is always important for lawmakers to know that there's need for procedural fairness, even when you are dealing with issues of removal from office. And I think it is true that the MCAs did not follow procedural fairness. But two, it is all futile, because given the numbers that voted, it's only a question of going back to now follow the right procedure. And I think that if I were Speaker Elachi, I would throw in the towel, because it's all futile. It is clear that you cannot be Speaker, you cannot lead people who have wholesomely rejected you.
Rejected, yes.
But when then she says that it is political, of course it's political. How in election as Speaker was political. So removal must be political. So to say that it is all political, I mean, it's to miss the point. Having said that though, I think that she was wrong and they were wrong. She was wrong because when people have overwhelmingly voted to remove you, even when you have court orders, stay away. Let the matters calm down first. You don't throw it in their face by coming to the office and addressing the press immediately. And I saw that she was armed with chili. I think that's the part that
the pepper spray.
the chili spray, the pepper spray.
Yeah.
Yes, she was, you know, and I think that is really, it means she went prepared to confront the MCAs. Now, I agree with Senator Cheruiyot that ultimately the conduct of the MCAs was also totally unbecoming.
Yes.
I think it was a theater of the absurd.
Theater of the absurd.
Yes.
All right, let's hear from Boni Khalwale.
My condolences to the family and friends of Professor Ouma Muga, who passed on, I think, 2-3 days ago. Professor Ouma Muga was one of the pioneers of the multi-party democracy. And when they pushed for it, it was under very difficult circumstances. So my condolences. On the matter of Honorable Senator Beatrice Elachi,
Yes.
it's unfortunate that we are losing focus. What the MCAs did is actually provided for. What they needed was a mere 75%. But they succeeded in whooping 103 MCAs to support her removal. 2 absconded, and I think 3 were out of the house. So this was a supermajority, and therefore, my younger sister, Beatrice Elachi, should gracefully accept that it's all over and go home. Even if she got whatever court orders that she wishes to get, those are the people who gave her that job. And those are the same people who will refuse to allow her to work for them. Those are the same people who, given another chance, whatever the order she gets, would also get her removed. On the issue of how the MCAs behaved, nothing big. There's no big deal in what they did. We have seen similar happenings in other parliaments. You remember the parliament of Somalia when they were sitting here at Grand Regent's Hotel. They almost killed each other. You remember when myself, Wetangula, Orengo, and Mudama, how we were almost killed in the National Assembly of Kenya. This is part and parcel of the mob psychology that sometimes take place amongst legislators. The bottom line is that Beatrice Elachi should go away and allow a new speaker to be identified for the business of the County Assembly of Nairobi to be transacted. It's all over.
All right. Let's hear from Jakar Medio. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, what we must do as a country is to get the courts from controlling parliamentary deliberations. I think the courts are too much into everything. I think what the Nairobi MCAs did is what they had to do. And I think it's wrong to condemn them. We all behave like that. Your leaders are only as good as your populace. And I think the job of the speaker belongs to the people that the Speaker leads. So they give her the job. They have taken it away. I think it's good to give them room. The mere fact that they were overwhelming in numbers calls for us to say that somebody whipped members properly. The whips did their work. And I can tell you, going back a week or two ago, people were arrested by the DCI in the Nairobi County Assembly, prompted by a letter from Beatrice. Her own employees were arrested. Many of them were like deputy clerks and people who have nothing to do with procurement. And she called them thieves. So the DCI had no choice but to come and arrest them on a Friday evening, knowing that they would spend time in Muthaiga's cells for a whole weekend. And I thought she overstretched. Because I think that work does not belong to the Speaker. The criminal investigations are obvious. There is ESCC, there is DCI. I think she called for her own exit. And I think it would be very wrong for her to try to superimpose herself as the Speaker of Nairobi County Assembly without mandate of the members of the Assembly. She can't force, she can't do that. That is bad manners. She should just go home. Yeah.
All right, bad manners for Jakao Midio. But do you think this is corruption fighting back, Kimani Matangi?
Well, Debarl, let me say good morning to our viewers and also good morning to my panelists here and to yourself too.
Thank you.
You know, Debarl, let's remember that ourselves as legislators bear also the record of what happens when and what has happened in the past when people have moved to court over similar circumstances and circumstances of impeachment. You know, Governor Wambora served a full term, having been impeached, and you know, in his own assembly and also in the Senate, in 2 houses, and he still served a full term. Debarl, right now, as we discuss this matter this morning, there are governors who have lost their offices via court orders.
Yes.
And they're in office now because they are hanging on court orders which have been issued by the Supreme Court, and they're exercising their powers as governors. Not one, you know, onwards all the way, you know, and of course we know them. Just the other day, not only even in elected offices, remember when Swazuri was taken to court, then the following day he was there asking that he be given access to his office. And that tells you, okay, one, it is important that we understand that we have to respect the law for that matter. I've heard all my colleagues here, you know, at certain times saying that court orders must be respected. And I think, you know, Otiendo Amolo has made that case here, even all my colleagues here. So, you know, I think I would divide this in 2 levels. First, the MCAs were within their rights to have voted to impeach their speaker, because that is a right that they enjoy via the Constitution. Where they were not right is, again, when the speaker went to court, and having gone to court and obtained the order, then they now decided to take it upon their own hands. You know, that's not lawful, notwithstanding the conduct of the speaker herself. And I believe, in my view, Debarl, what I'd be saying to the speaker is it is upon her. She should manage her institution. Yes, she has some court orders, but court orders cannot necessarily find her the right working atmosphere with the people. She cannot waive the court order at her MCAs and expect that is going to be the only thing that she can use to find and create a working relationship. Because in the first place, that's what it boils down to. I believe what she just needs to do is, even with that court order, is to reach out to members of the county assembly. They can probably find a way around the issues that have divided them. Let me tell you, Debarl, as I finalize, even in the House of Parliament itself, I'll tell you, sometimes the House is divided over very, very petty issues. even at the level of National Assembly and at the Senate. And so it is not unusual that you find that legislators will be on the other side with their speaker. Remember, just recently, Speaker Justin Muturi was in the press saying that he will be calling an investigation into his own members who had been accused of being bribed. Remember, even the Speaker of the Senate also, on the cases that were pertaining to Ruaraka land. And so I believe, it's not unusual that there will be disagreements either between a speaker and the people that he or she leads. It happens all the time. And I believe the issue here is that they should be able to, if they can, find a way around their differences. If they can't, then the speaker would have to, eventually, then let the law take its course, and somebody else sits in the office. But I believe at this point, all is not lost. She has her orders. They have their power in law. I believe that they can try to talk to each other.
Right. And maybe if we can just see also what is on the front page of the Nairobi Business Monthly. This is the face of the governor of Makueni. This is Professor Kifuda Kibwana. And it says testimony of power of people-centered development. And if we may hack back, Governor Kibwana was also in a pickle with the MCAs. And we know the way he was held hostage by the MCAs because of varied reasons that he was not really, succumbing to because he was actually being put to pander to the whims of the MCAs. And he thinks this was not in principle. What could we say about the state of MCAs, especially with the governors and the speakers in the county assembly? Briefly, just a one-liner comment. As far as Kifuda Kibwana is concerned, this was a battle for MCAs, and we saw for almost one good year, there was nothing happening in Makueni County. But compare Makueni County to 5 years back, a diametrically different, shift and optics that we have about Makueni right now. Let's see from Aaron Cheriot briefly. Well,
it's good to note that at the end of that term, I think I do not have the figures correctly with me, but I'm told 90 to 95% of those MCAs that were giving Governor Kibwana a hard time were actually voted out. So I think the point to me on who is right, who is wrong, will ultimately be left to the bosses, who are the people that put elected leaders in office. It is for them to determine. In future, Nairobians will determine between their governor and their MCAs whether it is both or either of the two that has let them down, and the city is in the sorry state that is in.
All right. Let's hear from Oteda Molo.
I think a distinction is to be drawn between the governor and the speaker. Governors are elected by the people directly. The speaker is elected by the MCAs. Mm-hmm. When you are elected by MCAs, and I agree with my colleagues, you are at their mercy because they are your electors. And there are certain things that, although I disagree with my friend Jacob Dio, the courts must be allowed to intervene when there is procedural unfairness. But I agree with him to the extent that the courts will intervene, but it's an intervention in vain. Mm-hmm. Because eventually, once you've lost the trust of those you are to lead, who elected you, there is no way you can be imposed on them. It will be servitude. Mm-hmm. And that is the difference.
All right. Boni Halwale.
I think to compare the case of Makueni with this one of Nairobi is attempting to compare oranges with apples. In the case of Makueni, we remember very well it was on the important issue of failure by the county assembly to pass the budget so that professor could be able to deliver. Mm-hmm. But in Nairobi, it is all manner of things. The point is, members of parliament should now take a relook, and senators, to see whether the impression that we are being left with, like they are on the issue of removal of governors and removal of speakers of county assemblies, there appears to be like there are two laws in operation. The law that allows the governor to go and hide in court and serve for 5 years when he has been removed by the Senate, and the law that allows the Senate and MCAs to remove that governor. So it looks like there are two competing laws. If it is the spirit, whatever it is, it must be made crystal clear for it to be completely clear that it's only one law which is operating. If this was the case, then we wouldn't have a situation where Elachi, he is having a legal process she's pursuing that gives her results that are contrary to the results that are given by another law that allows the MCAs to remove her. The last point I would like to make to Elachi is that, to me, her solution does not lie in court. The majorities in the in the County Assembly of Nairobi are ODM and Jubilee. She should seek for an appointment with the President Uhuru and another appointment with the Prime Minister Raila Odinga and beg them to prevail upon the MCAs to save her. A court process is useless. I'm telling you.
It's useless. So she's just butting her head on the wall as well. Right? Let's say from the Jacomedio.
I do not think it is the responsibility of Raila or Uhuru to appoint a speaker. Speaker is elected by MCAs or by MPs. And in good order, which I have said here before Debarl, is that Kenya is messy. And I want to tell my friend Otiende, is a lawyer of very good standing, that where it matters, where development matters and where civilization matters, the judiciary stays away from politics. It's another arm of government. Politicians are also another arm of government, parliament. So the moment politicians keep running to court, like even this issue of people going to seek appeals or after elections in courts, like I did. I can tell you I'm a living example. I saw a dirty court. It's dirty. It doesn't belong there. We need to keep the court only to the issue of presidential elections, because there it matters and public interest is of it's supreme. But this other one is the cash cow. The other one is where people just make money. I can tell you that in the case of Makueni is a success story because Professor Kivutha Kibwana is a brilliant and a successful man. But you have 47 others, you have 46 others, where the cases are the opposite. And the only thing I want to say is for us to keep pressing, and I know there's a court case, is that accused governors, the Ojamongs of the world, need to step aside so that they do not interfere with investigations. And I saw the chairman of EAC saying there are like 30 governors whose files they have. Take them to court, let them step aside, because they even have deputies. There is a president, their deputies can take over. But otherwise now what we are doing, we are harboring thieves who are really impeding the war against corruption.
All right. Yeah. Kimani Watange, lastly on Elachi.
I think, Debarl, in my view, the fundamental difference between, and I would say, I think Governor Kivutha Kibwana was very lucky in the first place, because he had the people behind him, the people of Makueni, the voters. And then secondly, I want to also say that I think, in my view, he gambled, and he gambled big time, and he won that gamble. I mean, gambling, because, Debarl, if you ask any politician at whatever level, the one gamble that no one wants to ever take is daring the electorate. And you see, Governor Kivutha Kibwana then, that time, he is the one who volunteered. Actually, he is the one who made the appeal to the president to dissolve his own county and send the people back to an election. And you know, when he took that leap of faith, I would call it a leap of faith, then you know, it startled people a little bit, because people were asking, I mean, who is this politician that would dare say that sent me back to the people? And because of, I believe, the way he managed his county earlier, his demeanor and his manners, I would say, and way of doing things, and I say, Debarl, his track record can probably be seen even right now, you know, in this second term, as to how he's being rated. So that being his background, I believe that's why he had the confidence to take that gamble, and I think that's why it also paid. But in most cases, other than I think Raila Odinga, who I remember one time also, you know, decided to go for a re-election voluntarily. I think sometimes also Boni Halwale was forced into a re-election, and he also triumphed. So I believe in Kivutha Kibona's case, he just simply put his track record online and said, you know, weigh what my record is against what I'm saying. And I think that's why people chose to believe him when he said, and I'm one of those who visited him at Debarl in his office then. I was in a committee, I don't know whether I went with Boni Halwale, and we were speaking to him on the problems he had. Remember, even when there were shootings there in his own offices and the assembly. And he said, I have put my foot down that the MCAs here are not going to twist me to bribe them. And I'm not going to accede to any demands they have so that I can allocate funds to them to go and spend. That was his problem.
Thank you.
And I think that's why it paid off. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But in just one word.
Briefly?
I don't know what's wrong with the former City Hall. When Kidero was there, he punched Shebesh, that place. I don't know what opium is in the ceiling or what. And then, while in the same building, Senator Elachi sprays MCAs with
Pepper spray.
We are not even sure whether it was pepper spray. It might have been something even worse.
Chili.
I mean, that kind of arrogance, I think, can only be seen in at the former City Hall. For God's sake, that degree of arrogance can only force me to think that probably Elachi, in her mind, she is still a senator. And when she sits in that county assembly, she has forgotten that she has moved down from being a senator. She's now an MCA. Once you are the speaker of a county assembly, you are an MCA. So she has this attitudinal challenge that I am a senator presiding over these small people, MCAs. No. She should climb down. Otherwise, let the impeachment carry its own day. Please.
Are senators allowed to use pepper spray?
We shall ask Senator Aaron Cheriot and Kimero Matangi.
But did she use it in the first place?
Yes.
Yes.
It was shown.
But did
She herself was spraying it.
There's something she's playing, I don't know
well,
what it is.
in her defense, it helped her, you know, to ward off.
You know she's
was she spraying
So we have the picture there.
you know, you must remember.
We have it on the screen here.
Watch, you'll watch.
You must remember
There,
she's
there.
What is that spray?
Yeah, you missed it.
I
helped.
thought it's just a finger.
Okay, there you go.
Maybe she was scared.
There you go. You can see.
Maybe she was scared for her life.
What is making us scared?
All right.
But only
Anyway.
that should be spraying down, and she's there herself. I mean, she should be the first victim of whatever she's spraying.
No, it's a perfume.
I mean, because if it's pepper spray, she would be the first
Sometimes
culprit of it.
Okay. Let's see what is up.